What's up, YouTube? Zero here. Welcome to the place where gamers, witches, wizards, and superheroes unite. Today, I have an epic build for Dohalim at level 34 in Tales of Arise. So in this video, I'm going to go over the arts that I utilize for Dohalim, both the ground and the aerial arts. I'm going to go over the skills that I have for Dohalim. Some are going to be more important to the build than others. And then I'm going to go over the equipment that I utilize for Dohalim. The most important being that accessory, as the staff you equip isn't going to matter as much. I'm going to give you a few options. But before I get into it, I do want to say that if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. For more Tales of Arise content, I do a bunch of other RPGs and mystery box unboxing videos, so feel free to check those out as well. Without further ado, let's get into the build. So on our Architect of Coexistence, of course, we have the increased max AG that's given to us automatically. And then one other, we have the easier perfect evading / guarding. This is pretty important for Dohalim, as you do get that rod extension with perfect evading and guarding. So then on our former lord, I'm actually going to max out this entire branch. We have the counter edge. After a perfect evade or guard, you can get a counter attack, which is absolutely awesome. We have resurrection, which is going to allow us to resurrect a character from the dead. We have negative gate, a beginner dark art that's going to summon a jet black orb and deal damage. We have easier perfect evading guarding, and yes, it does stack with the other one that we have. And then increased boost strike damage, which is going to increase the amount of damage dealt to enemies that get hit by that boost strike. So now on to our next tree, the Dilettante. I think I'm saying that right. We of course have the increased rod extension critical rate, increases critical hit rate when rod extension is active. Then we have increased rod extension critical hit, increases the critical hit damage while rod extension is active again. Then increased down damage, of course increasing our damage to those downed enemies. Then in Ivy Master, increased max AG, of course important, we're going to be dealing a lot of our different moves. And then increased art casting resilience, makes it harder for enemies to disrupt us while we're casting those arts. Then in Dark Sorcerer, we have a couple as well. Of course, we have our increased max AG, which is given to us, and then Demon's Lance. Forms a spear. This one, you jump into the air, so you have to be in the air, but you get a spear in the air and you can throw it at enemies while you're in the air. Then in Treasure Hunter, we have faster AG recovery. Of course, we're casting a lot of arts, so we want AG to come back quicker. And then increased rod extension attack, increases damage while rod extension is active. Then the Eternal Protector tree, I have increased rod extension length, which is the given, and then our AG restored from critical hits. So this build is going to focus a lot on getting critical hits, so this is going to be pretty important to the build. Of course, we're casting a lot of arts, so we want that AG back. Now let's go on to the arts that I have on. Crescent Flash. This is a wind type move where you twirl the rod around you and your enemies, deals a lot of hits. Very awesome move, and of course a wind type move. It costs 2 AG, but we get that wind type move, which is very nice to have. Then I'm gonna go with Seismic Rupture. This is an earth type move. This Dohalim twists his rod charging forward, so you're kind of damaging the ground and damaging any enemies in front of you, but this is an earth type move. So now we have a wind type move and an earth type move. And then the last one on our main tree, I'm going to go with Elusive Deity. Now this rushes forward, thrashes an enemy in an upward leap. It actually takes Dohalim up into the air, and it's also a dark type move. Now on our aerial attacks, I have Eagle Rage, which fires 2 shockwaves, then launches a diving attack, going to cost us 2 AG. It's actually a very nice move. Then I have Soaring Blast. This is an earth type move, sends a shockwave along the ground, deals some damage, and then Demon's Lance, what I just talked about while we're going over the skills. So on our second set, I have Stalagmite. This is another earth type move. This is actually more of a longer range move for Dohalim. It's going to raise the ground up, dealing earth type damage. Resurrection, of course, going to resurrect our downed allies, and I'm going to talk about this, why I want this on this tree. And then Negative Gate. This is a beginner dark art, going to cost 2 AG, and it summons a black orb dealing damage inside of it. Now, I have 2 more aerial attacks equipped, but it's not important to the build. I have Rotating Pile Driver and the Tornado Dive. You can equip whatever you want on the second set of your aerial attacks. Really not important to this build. But let's get into the equipment we have. So right now I have the Refined Petrum Pole, and this is going to enhance the earth damage. If you want, utilize the Refined Tenebrous Staff, which is going to enhance the dark arts. Either one, because we're using a lot of earth and dark arts. Then, of course, whatever armor, the beefiest armor right now at this point in the game. What's more important is the accessory, the Impact Ring. What this is going to do is it's going to vastly increase our penetration at a cost of resistance. Mine is a level 4, so I have plus defense, plus earth damage, plus 15%, and then increased penetration even more. What penetration does is it allows us to get more critical hits and critical hit damage. For this build, I am really focusing on Dohalim being a damage dealer. I want to deal a lot of critical hits. I want to be able to get those perfect evading and guarding, and then I want to counterattack, and then I want to get those critical hits. The reason why I have so many different types of moves, you see that I have Stalagmite, Negative Gate. Those are my 2 ranged moves. One deals earth type damage, one deals dark type damage. So I get 2 ranged moves, both dealing different types of damage, so I can hit different enemies' weaknesses. Now on my main set, the first 3, the Crescent Flash, the Seismic Rupture, what I'm doing there is I'm making sure, again, that I'm covering the weaknesses of any enemy I could be facing. So I have a wind type move with my Crescent Flash, I have the earth type move in Seismic Rupture, and then with Elusive Deity, I have the dark type move. So I'm really covering my bases. Elusive Deity is great because it jumps you up into the air, which can form a nice combo with some of your aerial type moves. Like I said, Elusive Deity is a dark. Using that in combination with Demon Lance, you get a couple of dark type moves off in consecutive sets. You can also use it with some of the other aerial moves that I talked about. Eagle's Rage, which is going to deal some damage. No elemental damage, but it'll bring you back down to the earth. But really, Dohalim is focusing on the damage output on this build. We're trying to deal those critical hits. We're trying to dodge and get those counterattacks. Having that minus resistance isn't going to matter. What the resistance does is just the opposite of penetration. It allows enemies to deal critical hits more easily to us, deal more damage to us. But with this build for Dohalim, we're really more of a glass cannon. We're trying not to be hit. We want to get those perfect evades and dodges because that's going to allow us to get that rod extension, and then we're going to be dealing more damage. We have increased penetration that we're going to be dealing those critical hits more often, getting that extra damage. And then again, we have the different elemental type moves that are going to allow us to hit enemies' weaknesses more often. So we have the 3 elemental types. We have the wind. Any enemy that's weak to wind, we're going to be using Crescent Flash. Any enemy that's weak to earth type moves, we have Stalagmite. We have our Seismic Rupture. Now, we also have a combination of long and closer range type moves. My first set is more closer range. I have Crescent Flash that I'm going to twirl my rod in an area and deal closer range type damage. Seismic Rupture is going to get me up close and personal to deal that closer range damage. Elusive Deity is going to be up close, take me into the air, and then deal damage from the air. Whereas my other moves, my Negative Gate, longer range move. It casts a spell from a long range, so I can more easily cast that. And same thing with Stalagmite. I'm going to call up the earth. So I have a great combination of long and short range moves. I have a great combination of elemental type moves, and I have a build that's going to deal a lot of damage to my enemies. So let me know what you think of this build. Let me know if you use something similar or if yours is completely different. I absolutely love this build. I think it's fantastic for Dohalim, especially if you are controlling him. But let me know in the comments section what you think. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until next time, peace.